Okay, so we're going to look at a good strategy for true, false, not given, one of the most problematic question types for students. Now, the key thing that I want you to learn is that if you look at a true, false, not given question, you can learn to identify what IELTS will be testing inside that question. There will be many words or phrases in that question, but some of them will just be scanning language. IELTS is not going to change them between the text and the question. It will be the same. 90% of the time you can identify in the question that there are some words that IELTS will change, and that will be the true, false, not given. It's usually words like most compared to many, or a lot compared to a few, or increase compared to decrease. It can often also be adjectives. But the key thing to do is quickly identify those words. Then you don't need to waste time comparing this with this, comparing this with this, and go through the whole question, comparing everything in the question. Identify what IELTS is testing, and with practice you will see that it becomes quite easy to see what they're going to test. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, I'm going to use this book to take some examples. It's the official guide from Cambridge, and we'll look at reading passage 1, the first test. It's called the Dover Bronze Age boat. Don't worry about that. I just want to look at the true, false, not given that they give. Let's look at them. Archaeologists realized that the boat had been damaged deliberately. Now, what I want you to learn is which language will IELTS target? Are they going to change this and use some other kind of job in the text? Everything else is the same, but they changed this? No. Are they going to change that? No. Are they going to say the aeroplane, or are they going to change that? No. They could change this, or they could change that. And this is what I want you to learn to do, is to recognize what the target language is. There is scanning language and there is target language in true, false, not given. And you don't want to waste time checking the scanning language. You just want to use the scanning language to find the part in the text that you're dealing with. So they're testing this word. They're not testing any of these other words. So what I'm going to do is put a big red circle around the word that I think they will test. Before we go and check, let's look at these others and see if we can identify the target language. It's not going to be this. Be careful of these. You can waste time on these. It's the same sort of thing as this. It's just scanning language. They're not going to test these time phrases at the beginning. What are they going to test? It's this word over here. Was it only technological aspects, or were there other aspects as well? So this is going to be scanning language. This is going to be scanning language. This is going to be scanning language. This is going to be the target language. Was it only the technological aspects, or were there other technological aspects? Right, next one. The archaeologists went back to the site to try and find the missing northern end of the boat. This one is slightly more difficult because there's no clear language. Maybe some students will think they will change northern to southern to eastern. Not in this example. This is just one big noun phrase. It's scanning language. What they're asking here is, did they or did they not? And that's a common true, false, not given question. Did it happen or did it not happen? So your target language it's the main verb. Did they go back or did they not go back? That's what you're trying to find out. Use that as scanning. For the last one, this is very important. They're not going to test this. This is scanning language. So don't waste your time figuring out 2004. Just find that in the text. Don't worry about that. It's again slightly more difficult. And I would say that the scanning language is all of that. That's all scanning language. What is the target language? It's that word over there. Was it used for trade or was it used for something else? Right, now let's go and see if we can find our answers. So I'm not going to talk too much about scanning. You should find where these are. This is about answering the question. And that is actually the target sentence. The boat was not a wreck but had been deliberately discarded. And this is all damaged. So let me just copy and paste this sentence. Right, so this is where we are over here. This is our target sentence. Was it deliberately Damaged? Yes, it had been deliberately damaged. This is all stands for damaged. So deliberately, had been deliberately, so that means that that must be true. Deliberately. Okay, quite an easy one to start off with. Point I want you to realize is that was their focus. As you can see, that was their focus. Right, let's look at this next one. Was it only the technological aspects, or were there other aspects which were also examined? Now this one came from this paragraph over here. It was more difficult. Students can get very confused with the only, with the initially and with the at the time and the in 2002, but you actually didn't need to. Here's technical, and that's all you needed to know. Was it only technological aspects were examined? There's examined, explored and examined are the same. Alongside technical papers, other speakers explored its social and economic. So it wasn't only technological. Alongside, in addition to technical papers, there were also social and economic. So only, no. And that means that that must be false, because it was not only. Great, next one. The archaeologists went back. Did they go back or did they not go back? Northern end of the boat, your scanning language. That will help you find the target sentence. But this is your target language. And it's this big sentence over here. I'll copy and paste it. Right. So there's our scanning language that make sure that we're in the right sentence. The possibility of returning to search for the boat's northern end was explored. They thought about it. But that but means they didn't go. They thought about it, but the difficulties were insurmountable. Don't worry, you can just guess. It means big, very big, too big. And there was no guarantee. They could not be sure. So they thought about it, but the difficulties were too big. That means they did not go back. So that again must be false. So that was not, they didn't test this. This was scanning language. It wasn't the target language that they're trying to change to anything else. This was just there to help you find the sentence. Then you must focus on the real question. And our last one, evidence found in 2004 that had been used for trade. Don't get too confused about this. Was it 2006? Was it something else? This is not the target question. This is just to help you find the right sentence. So the 2004 is over there. It's this whole paragraph over there. I'll copy and paste the whole paragraph because it's a not given. There's nothing there about trade. I don't see trade. So therefore not given. That just helps you to find the right paragraph or the right sentence. And therefore that's not given. I think we can do another example. Okay, another example. This is called Tea in the Industrial Revolution. I think it's from Cambridge 10, if I'm not mistaken. There was a matching headings and there was a true false not given. Right. So before you even look at the text, I just want you to go through these and see which words you will circle. What are your circle words? More importantly, or as importantly, if you can't find one, I just want you to leave it blank, because in this section I also want you to practice another thing, which is easy ones first and come back to the difficult ones later. So pause the video, find your circle words. Alright, so my circle words were these. You'll notice that I left two of them blank because I didn't really see anything clear there. So these are probably the two most difficult ones. Often the ones where you can't see a circle word are actually often the not given ones. Not always, but often. Anyway, so I'm just going to go and find these sentences for you, and I'll copy and paste them here. So China's transport system not suitable, industry 18th century. That was somewhere here. They had 18th century over here. This was all talking about 18th century, but the important thing was that China was over there. So I'll just copy and paste that. Okay, so was it suitable for industry? China had many of these factors. I don't see anything about it being suitable or not. It just says China. This is all it says about China. China had many of these factors. I don't see the word suitable. So it should be quite clear that this one is just not given. I don't see anything about suitable or not suitable. Great. T and B, beer help to prevent. So let's skip it. He disagrees with his findings. Does he agree or does he disagree? Let's find them. It's just agree or disagree. That's all we need to know. It's this sentence over here. I'll copy and paste. You don't need to even look at that. He wrote a favorable. You don't know what that word is, but hopefully you know what that word is. And this is positive. And this is often with true, false, not given. The vocabulary is difficult, but you don't need to know it. You just need to decide, is it positive or negative, up or down, black or white, that sort of thing. This is positive. This is negative. And that's all we need to know. If we can target that word. Is it the same? Is it different? It's different. Therefore, this is false. After 740, there was a reduction. This is one of the easier ones to spot. When they start talking about increase, decrease, positive, negative. Same as this one over here, rise or fall. So there was a reduction. The sentence is over here. Between 60, it was static. That means it stayed the same. After 1740, but then there was a burst in population growth. Burst means growth. I hope you know that word. It means an increase. So this means a decrease. This means an increase. This is false. People used to make beer at home. I'm going to leave it. I couldn't find anything easy there. The tax indirectly caused a rise. Did it cause a rise in the death rate or did it cause a fall? Maybe this word, but I doubt it. It's more likely that it's going to be about a rise in the death rate. And so we're going to look for scanning word is tax. Scan, 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 and it's all over there. A tax was introduced. The poor turned to gin. They stopped drinking beer, and mortality rate began to rise. You needed to know this word. Mortality means death. So this is the same. They're not testing that. They just gave synonyms. They're testing this. Rise, rise. So that must be true. All right. Then we can go back and look at a couple of the more difficult ones. They both help to prevent dysentery in Britain. They're not going to test that. They're not going to test that. They're not going to test that. What are they going to test? Did they prevent or did they not? Helped to prevent and prevent, it's the same. Don't let that make you get confused. It just means, did it prevent or did it not prevent? So we're going to look for our keywords were dysentery and maybe Britain. Dysentery was over there. Actually, no Britain because it's all about Britain. So that's our sentence there. You should be pausing the video if you want me. I know I'm going a bit fast, so just pause it if you want to read it clearly. Blah, 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 blah. Tea and beer allowed them to flourish. Flourish is a good word for you to know. It means to grow. It's a positive word. Without succumbing to diseases such as dysentery. So we don't even need all of that. Succumbing means falling. It's a negative word. So without succumbing, without falling to dysentery, it means they did not get dysentery. Vocabulary, I understand here, is quite difficult. So the tea and beer allowed them to do something positive without falling to dysentery. They did not get dysentery because of the tea and beer. The tea and beer allowed them to not get dysentery. So read that again. The tea and beer helped to prevent dysentery. So the answer is true. That was difficult because of all of this vocabulary. Flourish and succumbing. So you kind of had to guess what those meant. But you must also use common sense. They are talking about tea and beer as good things, as positive things. So they're saying tea and beer are good. So preventing this disease, dysentery, is good. So therefore you could just guess that it's true. Then the last one, people used to make beer at home. It's just one of these, did they or did they not? There's nothing to circle there. Maybe used to make. It would have been somewhere over here, because it's between these two, and we don't see anything about them making it at home, so that one was not given. Often when you can't find a nice circle word, it just means it's not given. Alright, that's that. I wish I could do more examples, but the time is going on a bit.